Let us now start our afternoon with a prayer.
Dearest Lord, 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 dearest Lord. Teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as I should. To give and not to count the cost. To fight and not to heed the wounds. To toil and not to seek for rest. To labor and ask not for reward, save that of knowing that I do your most holy will. Dearest Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as I should. To give and not to count the cost. To fight and not to heed the rules. To toil and not to seek for rest. To labor and ask not for reward. Save that of knowing that I do your most holy
Please welcome the premier family business consultant and CEO of Maximum Impact Philippines and our host for this afternoon, Mr. Adrian Ding.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Premier's Client Appreciation Virtual Gathering. My name is Coach Adrian Ding, your host this afternoon, and it is a pleasure and an honor to be joining you on a leisurely, beautiful Saturday afternoon. Friends, thank you very much for inviting us, not just into your living rooms, your devices, your tablets, but more so into your lives. Today, our main mission is very simple, and that is to honor and appreciate all of you, our valued clients, in the hopes that you and I will continue our collaboration towards fostering family unity, especially during difficult times. And because it's October the 3rd, allow me to be the first to greet all of you a Merry Christmas. As we all know, dear friends, the Philippines is the only country in the world that celebrates Christmas at least 6 months in a year. But you know, friends, we do know for a fact that this Christmas might be one of the most difficult Christmases ever. And so our hope this afternoon is that you and I will spark a light so that we can be a blessing to others around us. So once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you, including our guests, our distinguished speakers, our keynote speaker, and all the wonderful clients of Premier. Thank you for being here. Please give yourselves a big round of applause. Come on, everybody. Thank you. I know it's a little bit strange, but it's better than nothing at all. To welcome all of us to this affair, I'd like to call the founder and the CEO of Premier Family Business Consulting, Ladies and gentlemen, a man that I know who is extremely kind-hearted and generous. Please put your hands together for Mr. John Ramos.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you are, in which country are you from. I'm immensely privileged and blessed to have all of you in our clients and partners virtual gathering in the midst of pandemic. Can you imagine a beautiful Saturday afternoon, having to, see all of you despite the crisis, despite that we are actually connected digitally. And foremost, I'd like to thank our God Almighty for allowing us to experience this momentous occasion. May God continue to bless all of us despite being unworthy to receive this privilege to inspire you, reignite hope, and strengthen resilience. It has been officially 9 years, can you imagine that? Since we took the bold step of diving into the family business field. 2011 was a year that I failed a business called Comprahan Supermercado and started at the same year Premier Family Business. They said that when there is an end, there is always the beginning. Today is not a celebration of our 10th year in service, but the beginning of our 12-month journey to our 10th year anniversary next year. Yahoo! Well, and when this happens, we pray that it will be an occasion that we can truly have fun with all of you, and maybe by the beach or resort. And once again, see all of you in person, shake hands and share hugs. Well, this milestone would not have been a reality had it not been with the challenges and opportunities that you as families in business have faced and shared to us. When we learned that the many challenges faced by many of families in business, we fortunately responded proactively. And that was 2011 when we mounted the first family inheritance conference, particularly about the same day, October 3. Although we didn't really know then what we are getting into and what could be our highest success or failures. But isn't this the case usually when you are called for a mission or a purpose where you may not have the perfect plan or the perfect, all the details being laid as a start? And what I think drove us to dive into this field is our desire to serve you, to serve families that not many dared to get into, because we know family sometimes, if not most of the time, it is messy, and the academic side of the practice or the profession hasn't really been defined yet when we started. It is only most recently that, with the help of Family Firm Institute in the US and Family Business Network, all the, Ivy League schools who are investing, their time and resources, their manpower to get more understanding about this field, the family business, that we now somehow are having, many details, many best practices, journals to actually base our reflections and understanding of where the family business is in the midst of whatever challenges that they have. So when families get entangled with bad relationships or differing opinions or sometimes conflicting processes and maybe some unmet expectations or problems, they usually either hide it in the rug or, well, this is joke, hire a priest if you have a family problem or a pastor to try to solve your problem, because there were no defined professions that can, that they can call, who are grounded with values, experience, and who understood really family business and the systems behind it. So when relationship breaks, well, priests may not necessarily be there to help you, or the elderly or the pastors, But there are, at this time, many consultants who are, already experts in looking into the area of how to help families at the same time the business. So, but, this is where we are. After 3 years of starting up and establishing Premier, we discovered that we discovered our strengths. There we see our strengths lie at, and we see ourselves thriving when there seem to be difficult and complex problems in the family. And business and excelling further in professionalizing the business to help grow, the businesses that we're helping with, but not just to help them professionalize their organization, but in many ways that they can also grow it in scale, and while helping the family side govern their family relations. So not only that we have learned and adapt as fast as we can in this field, we also have seen some values espoused by my dear families in business that are now embedded into our practice. For instance, what helped us survive and thrive, are faith, hope, and gratitude, which many of you, if not all of you, have already lived with. And these are values that somehow brought all of us to this level of success. Do you agree? Yes. And I'd like to, if you will allow me, I'd like to quickly share to you the story behind these values and how it actually helped us. I'll go back to October 2011 because this is a year where it is very significant, especially in this, kind of celebration. We started Premier 2011, and we didn't really know what the family business is when we started. But at that 2011 of October, I had a Comprahan business. I had a business called Comprahan Supermercado that was padlocked, foreclosed by the owner of the place I leased. After 1 year of operations, about 3,600 square meter place, I leased to operate a community market that supposedly will sustain and bring together the farmers and consumers in a convenient and air-conditioned place to help one another. So on the other hand, you will see farmer who sells directly to the consumers, while on the other hand, the consumers enjoy fresh and direct prices from the farmers. Unfortunately, this story did not end up really well. It was bad for my family because I lost my home, I incurred debts, and the business got closed. 2011. Had it not been with faith, hope, I could have easily surrendered and buried my entrepreneurial dreams to serve others. But what happened was different. In the same year, 2011 of November, Premier has opened its door to serve you, to unite families for generational wealth. And, introspecting from where we were and where we are now, I think faith and hope had helped us immensely. And, we said that faith, we use them as our shield, because we know that God will never abandon us. And hope as our sword, which helped us really conquer the unknown to pursue our dreams and mission. Fast forward today, 2020, a year deeply disrupted by pandemic. Many, if not all of us, were and are still affected economically, mentally, spiritually, and socially, right? Well, in fact, even family members cannot actually be gathered together in one house. I don't know many of you, but whether the effect is negative or positive to some, this year can be a year of transformation and modeling resilience. Not just resilience, but how a family can model resilience so that it can actually sustain to many pandemics when it happens again. And this pandemic, on the other hand, helps us to embrace many changes that we never would have thought, would be actually happening. It helped us to appreciate simple things like time and deeply value relationships, family, and society as never, this deep before. Do you agree? Right? Yes. And they say that breakthrough is seamlessly born when there is breakdown. I agree to that. Isn't it a breakthrough for a family like all of us to have survived and sustained being together in one roof 24/7 since the lockdown until now? So, there's no business that will compete the family time. I don't know, but to me, I see a lot of positive things that's happening in each of the family that I'm serving with, and I'm sure it is happening to you. And this had led us into a space of transformation, and whether consciously or unconsciously, it is happening right now. We're being transformed, but the key here is that how do we transform how do we sustain that transformation? How do we sustain these opportunities to be transformed? It is presented to us surely by the pandemic, but the question there is that how do we create meaningful and sustainable transformation in the family? We certainly have formed many of the good habits within the family, such as, hey, eating together, or praying daily together, or having fun and just enjoy each other's presence. And all of these actually reinforce close family relations, cohesions, and communication. These are positive consequences born during the pandemic that we need to sustain. And this good effect of pandemic must be sustained. And to sustain it, I believe structure is very important, and it must be put in place to reinforce transformation, that change, to further, make us sustain unity, if that's what you're pursuing at, culture of love, culture of compassion, acceptance, and many others that we know of important to our family. So this year, as we embark our 10th year journey with you over the 12 months of activities and celebrations, we have many dreams and vouch to sharpen our services to help you build structures, protocols, systems, and people that will drive your values, mission, and vision to succeed. We are very, very grateful because not only that we have sustained and stood by our mission despite the economic changes caused by COVID-19, this journey is blessed by many of our dreams and your aspirations, your employees' dreams, your partner's dreams, and generally all our stakeholders' dreams that we all want to achieve, right? And, for us to be able to achieve that, we have to form a cohesive team. We have to be in a system. We have to be in an ecosystem so that we get to support each other on how to actually not just survive, but to thrive. We want it the inclusive way. You all wanted the collegial way. Otherwise, you would have not hired Premier, correct? You wanted the transformative ways. And those ways are things for us to be able to forge unity, hope, gratitude, with which each of us will live into a life of meaning and purpose. I'd like to, welcome you all to this celebration. This is the beginning of the many celebrations that we, your consultants and your partners in building your enterprises, will actually journey with you in a higher level of commitment. I'd like to close it by sharing to you 5 of my dreams, our organizational dreams. We dream of helping you, the leaders of the family business, to retool yourselves, especially after the pandemic, with high level of management and leadership, which, not only embraces best practices, but also embraces, thought and servant leadership. We also have a dream to write books, and we'd like to actually make this activity, to start now, so that hopefully after 6 months or 10 months, this will be available in time for our big celebrations. This is also a challenge to many of the consultants of Premier to already start, polishing your skills in writing, because I will also do mine. The third one is to establish an academy of family business executives and advisors. I feel like this is very important because this is one of those pillars of change who will champion, transformations, who will champion family unity, who will champion the money, but at the same time, good relationships. So we need this kind of people. The fourth one is that we'd like to, bring or create an organization here in the Philippines supported by Family Business Network, to support and champion the needs of family businesses and influence perhaps laws in the Philippines to protect and inspire this industry to stride and to thrive. And finally, before I get completed and finished, the five and very foremost is one of our dreams is to unite families in business for generational wealth. So thank you very much. It's been really immensely a privilege, an opportunity for us to actually have served you and to continue to serve you. God bless us all. And let's enjoy these celebrations virtually but meaningfully. Thank you.
John, thank you very much for your inspiring words. We're all encouraged in spite of the fact that we're all facing challenges in 2020. But I dare say that we should never lack optimism. It's not about just positive thinking, it's about optimism. Why? Because optimism is not necessarily denial of reality. It's acceptance that these are definitely dark times, but we can choose to look at the light instead of the dark tunnel. And that's our hope, that all of us would find a way to inspire each other so that we can continue sustaining our family businesses and bringing them even further into the future. All right, so it's time for our first keynote speaker this afternoon. Allow me to do the honors of introducing our dear guest. So for our keynote speaker, he is an associate professor of the family business in EDHEC Business School in France. He's a board member of the Family Firm Institute, a renowned researcher, and a recipient of several honors and awards for his work in family businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Fabian Bernhard.
Hello and good morning from Paris here. I'm very thankful and very grateful for this invitation and very grateful for Premier and for John and his amazing team, Teresa, and everyone involved in this organization. It's a great pleasure being here. I would have loved to join you in person, but unfortunately, given the situations, with COVID in my country and many other places in the world, it's unfortunately not possible, but I'm glad that I can join you here. I hope everyone is healthy. I hope your families are healthy because, as we all know, families is something that is dearest to our heart. Today I'm here and I was invited to tell you a little bit about my research. As you've heard in this wonderful introduction, I'm a professor of research and I do studies on family businesses. My specialty are family businesses. I come from a family business myself. And one study that I would like to show you today and share with you, and I have prepared some slides that I would like to show you, deals with the professionalization of the business family. So I hope you can see the slides. I have done a study, and this study was generously financed by the Family Firm Institute. And what we looked at, we wanted to find out more about the business family, so the family side of family businesses. And the title is The 5 Pillars of Competent, Committed, and Sustainable Ownership. We did it in a team of 5 researchers. We are located in the US, but like me in France, also in Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, and Belgium. So we were a really, truly global team of experts on the field of family business. So what was our research focus? Well, what we wanted to find out was, well, most of the literature and most of the research deals with the professionalization of the firm. There is plenty of literature on that. But to much lesser extent, do we know about the business family, like the family side behind that? As John already mentioned, the family business is a relatively new phenomenon in business research, and most people focus on the business side. We, however, want to learn more about the family, especially those that are very successful in what they are doing. So the research that we started asked, like, for these successful family businesses that last for many generations, what do they do different? What kind of ownership and how do they develop ownership that is competent, effective, and responsible and sustainable in the long time? So these were the main questions that we wanted to understand. I hope you can see my slides when I move them forward. Good. So what did we do? Well, we did a major study and we contacted, thanks to the Family Firm Institute, FFI, a global survey where we surveyed 177 family business professionals. Those that work or are in family business for a long time, and we wanted to learn from their expertise of how do these long-lived family businesses sustain their success over such a long time, especially when it comes to ownership competences and governance. So we also did expert interviews with advisors and board members in major family businesses. We did at least 20 of those. And then we also looked deeper into unique family businesses and wanted to learn in depth about their family business and their success stories with at least 10 or more case studies. In these case studies, we had some very major, very old, long-lived family businesses in Europe and in the US in our sample. And on top of that, since we were like 5 researchers from universities, we also had existing data from prior research that we took into. And we wanted to learn again, what do these companies do differently? And the first, well, even though I can show you the study later on, I just want to give you today a little glimpse into what our main key findings were. So the first things that became very obvious to us is that successful family businesses, especially families that have been in this business for a long time, they see that the development of ownership competence is not a choice, it's a responsibility for them. They want to transfer this competence, how to deal with responsibly, with ownership, being a member of this family. No matter if you are just a spouse who married into the business or with their children, that they develop this competence in their group of family. And one of the people that we interviewed said it very nicely, and I just rephrase it. He said, well, if you own a swimming pool in your garden and your children play around, then teaching your children to swim is not a choice, it's a responsibility. And I found this very inspiring because somehow it also relates to family business. If you own a big business and your next generation or your family members are somehow involved, teaching them and giving the competence to deal with the business is a responsibility. A second aspect that we learned quickly was about the relationship and the processes and the structure of governance. What we've seen over and over in these family businesses that were successful is that relationships trump processes and processes trump structure. What do I mean by that? Well, most of the time, and we've seen it way too often, that family businesses have excellent advisors, they have excellent lawyers, they have excellent accountants. And way too often, they start the wrong way. They start with a structure. They're building a wonderful governance, a wonderful corporate governance, a family constitution. However, these constitutions will never work when there's under the surface problems problems in the relationship, problems that are emotional. So what we've seen is that successful family businesses value the process. They sit together in their family. They find their values and their goals, meaning they align the family first in a very long-lasting process. And that seems to be much more important than the structure. Way too often, we've seen that family businesses that have a wonderful corporate structure, a wonderful family governance, but underneath the surface, they have major problems, emotional, on the family side, end up in court, end up with horrible litigations and lawsuits, and in the end, destroy the family business. So what we saw that what works best is sitting together in the family, communicating, dealing with the process of goals, of shared values, developing them, understanding their own values and their own goals, aligning them before you go to the next step of the structure. So to say, structure is the icing on the cake. And even more than the process, the underneath, the relationships matter even more. Sometimes, if the emotional relationships are not managed well in the family business, the communication does not work, and accordingly the process, and in the end, the structure will not work. And way too often we see that that some family professionals offer off-the-rack approach. And we know that families are very heterogeneous. Not one family is similar to the other. They are all unique in their own structure. And accordingly, the relationships among them are different. So it requires a lot of process to understand what the family stands for and what the underneath, and fix first the underneath the relationships before going into a formalization of the family business professionalization and going then in the structures. So what are the outcomes? Well, we came up with 5 major pillars that successful family businesses, we found them over and over in different successful family businesses. And consultants and advisors with long years of experience have confirmed that these seem to be the unique aspects that make them work. As you see on this slide, the foundation for most successful family businesses are common goal. These are shared values and shared goals. So I like very much what John earlier said about where he mentioned the importance of values. And these need to be aligned first in the family and in alignment with the business. If the family does not have a congruence between the values and the goals, it will never work. So successful families share their values across generations. They share their stories, they share their heritage. So this is a very basic foundation. There's nothing wrong if your goal is, well, we have the family business to make money and that's our primary goal. Nothing wrong with that. But please make sure that everyone is aligned to this goal. We see other long-lasting family businesses that have other goals and other values. They want to make a difference in the community they live in. They care very much about their reputation. They care very much about their shareholders, employees, suppliers, local communities, and so on and so on. This is a foundation that need to step in, and successful family businesses are very much aware of their values and goals because these are the foundation. So the second pillar is the psychological clue. You see it on the right side. The psychological clue is long-lasting family businesses understand the bond that keeps them together. They have a very cohesive group that wants to stick together. They want to stay together as a family, and they want to stay together in business for the long run. So there seems to be some mechanisms that keep them together and avoid that some family members just jump on the better financial opportunity when somewhere else some more returns are there and they sell their shares. So this cohesive and managing this cohesion, this psychological clue seems to be another major aspect to successful family businesses. A third aspect is the competences. Understanding what it means to be in the family businesses. This can be very formalized, like you can think of like business education, that even members who are not part of the management, who do not work in the business, at least have a fundamental understanding of how to read financial statements, for example, or understanding what the business is that the family business is in. So this could be something, but also successful family businesses have ownership competences on the soft side. For example, managing conflict, communication and ways how to communicate with each other, and understanding like the family dynamics and how to fix relationships. This could be all competences that are really essential for owners in family businesses. So these kind of develop these ownership competences in their family. A fourth aspect, the fourth pillar, are informal family governances. This would be like gathering in the family, having regular meetings, even if it's only on the dinner table. That could be something that could be managed in informal family governance. And last but not least, and that is the top, as you see in this pyramid, it's only the top of the iceberg, is the formal family governance. So that is like the legally binding documents or family constitutions, shareholder agreements. When you look at successful family businesses, you look mostly at the formal family governance. But just like in an iceberg, you see only the tip. What you do not see, oftentimes there is a whole lot underneath the surface, a lot of work that the family businesses do. And I tell you, successful family businesses have conflicts. They have issues in their relationship, but they just know better how to handle them. They have the competences for manage interrelational conflicts. They know what they stand for. They know how to maintain this harmony and psychological glue in the family businesses. So these foundations are very much given. And if you start first with a formal family governance, I have seen way too often failure in these family businesses because they miss the important stuff underneath the surface. Another and last aspect that I want to talk about is what makes a competent owner? What are these competences that successful family businesses develop? Well, as mentioned, first of all, there is definitely some business competence. For all members somehow involved in the family businesses, and even those who have ownership or those who do not have yet, like the next generation, successful family businesses make sure that they have and get the competence to be a competent owner. Second aspect are family competences. This would be the ability to contribute to a family functionality, and that's a family relationships work. This could be things like communicating about things, deep communication, talking about problems, dealing with conflict, and maintaining the cohesion. A third competence that we've seen is essential is self-competence. Understanding yourself. What are your values? What do you stand for? Are you in line with the family values? Are you in line with the business values? Do you share the same goals? Can you align to these goals? And if not, maybe it's even better to not be part of this family business. But at least you have this understanding. Many family business owners ask, how can you educate the next generation that they want to take over the family businesses? I think the first step would be here to develop self-competence, that the next generation understands what it means to be a family business owner and its responsibilities, and maybe then make an educated decision if they want it or don't want it. And the fourth aspect of competent ownership is also could be like contextual ownership competences. Like in the modern world, this would be everything else. Like maybe the next generation should learn something about digitalization on the business side, but also competences related to the family side. For example, we all grow older, and maybe dealing with health issues, maybe dealing with dementia of some family businesses, family owners, is something that not many people want to talk about, but they are present, and being prepared for that can make you a competent owner. So having said all this, when owners start talking about their rights rather than their responsibilities, I think a family business is in big trouble. This is one of the outcomes of the big research that I'm more than happy to share with you. And I thank you very much for your attention, giving me the opportunity to tell you about the study, which has much more detail. And I'm more than happy to send you the study. Just shoot me an email. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. Thank you.
The floor is now open for the question and answer segment. Our host moderates together with Professor Fabian. Adrian?
Thank you very much, Ryan. And Professor Fabian, thank you so much for your insightful report. And the science, the research behind it is definitely very, very insightful. These are things that we've always wanted to learn, and to hear it from an expert from France who's been doing this for quite some time is absolutely a pleasure and an honor for us. Now, before we continue with the Q&A, I'd like to take this opportunity to also acknowledge the presence of some of our leaders who belong to the Family Firm Institute global membership, and they're joining us this afternoon in the virtual room as well. I'd like to take this opportunity to say hello to Borja Raventos, Jeremy Cheng, and Asher Noor. If you're able, please wave. That way we can formally acknowledge you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Welcome to this virtual conference. So, Professor Fabian, once again, thank you for the insightful report. We're going to open the floor for some Q&A. Ladies and gentlemen, you're free to post some questions on the Zoom chat, or you can also raise your hand so that you can be called for your question. We're going to cater first to the questions on the chat box, and eventually we're going to open the floor for others who'd like to use the microphone as well. So I'd like to start off by asking Professor Fabian, based on your research, is it right to conclude, Professor, that shared values and family unity is, the foundation to formal governance, like establishing a board or family council in the family business? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. As I've seen in many successful family businesses, and as I've seen in my research, I think shared values and goals are the essential fundament, the foundation of any successful family and business. And I think they need to have strong alignment between your values that the family stands for and the business and the goals that the business pursues. I mean, successful family businesses are very, very good in sharing their values. They share them across generations. They keep telling the stories of the past to teach the next generation already these essentially family values. And similarly, like also the goals of the business and the values also of the business are essential. And these need to be very aligned in order to sustain for the long run, in order to keep this family harmony.
I understand. It's important for us to have one vision, but the challenge sometimes, Professor, is that there are several visions. And that's why it leads to division, because it's divide. In Latin, it means divided, right? So my next question for you, Professor, is this. We all know that there's a pandemic, and it's not just happening in the economy worldwide, it's also happening within families. So my question for you is, what do you think about conflict? Would you consider conflict to be healthy? Is it something that's good, or is it something that's very bad? What do you think, Professor?
Well, conflict per se does not mean that it needs to be negative. It just means that it needs to be handled and managed correctly. As you say, like, conflict has also a healthy side, like bringing up topics that haven't been discussed yet, but many people feel very uncomfortable with, requires effective management practices. So learning and knowing how to communicate these sensitive topics and putting it on the task side rather than on a conflict side, on a relationship conflict side, is essential. And what I've seen is like that very successful families have certain mechanisms on or constantly train to deal with conflict. They know how to communicate it correctly, and they know how to manage it into certain techniques. And there are many, many techniques that you can apply to that. And as you say, like maybe it's more difficult in a pandemic or in the current time to get together and talk about things. But nevertheless, you should still never break off with this communication, because communication is key.
Absolutely, I agree. Professor, don't you think it's also very possible that you mentioned a while ago the importance of professionalism in the family business? And I know that it's very possible for a father to be playing golf with his son in a golf course, but it's also very possible for him to roast his own son, who's the managing director of a company, for his poor judgment or poor business acumen. And that's one of the reasons why family business get into conflict. Also, isn't it true, Professor, that nobody wants to watch over grandma or grandpa when they're very sick? But when it's time for him to leave and divide the properties for everyone, everyone seems to be present, isn't it? So my question for you is, what do you think is the psychological glue that really unites families together to be one?
Well, this is a very broad question, but as I said, all families are different. Every family is very unique. Families are very heterogeneous, but there usually is something that keeps them together. And I think that can be very strong and can be very emotional. So for some families, they are very much on the emotional side. So for example, the family emotionally, like family gatherings, holidays, or having, like if you're a large family business, we've seen that they installed newsletters, for example, or collectively give to charity. This could be very emotional side on the family. On the business side, family can be also very emotional. Some very large family businesses, they sustain museums, or they collect artifacts about their own history. They share these stories. These would be emotional side. Other families are much more on the financial side. So for them, the clue is together, and that sounds really profane, but it's like the money, the dividends that flow. So if you are aware of that, your family cohesion basis on financial aspects, then you need to make sure that people in your that the harmony is kept by paying regular dividends, or paying them above market salaries when they work in the family business. Again, it's not one family is not than the other. They are all very different, but being aware of what is your psychological clue in your family that keeps it together, whether it's emotional or any other thing, is very essential for these family businesses to run the long term.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, we believe that the study that you put together with your team was based on a sampling of families and professionals from the United States and from Europe. Do you think that these findings also somewhat reflect the realities that cuts across cultures or nationalities, particularly for the Asian culture? Do you think that these findings hold true regardless of culture or nationality?
I believe that the foundations of shared values and goals and the processes work across anywhere, because I see that family businesses all across the world struggle with very similar problems and challenges. No matter if they are in Asia or in the US or in Europe, long-lasting family businesses ask the same question. What should I do with my son? How can I prepare him to become an owner? These questions are universal. Having said that, I truly believe that the values that I've talked so much about today might be very different in an Asian context than in a Western European context. So being aware about it, talking about it, communicating about that is key, no matter if you're in the West or in the East.
Thank you very much for that question. Now, suppose, or for that answer rather, Professor, suppose you had a son and you were grooming him to take charge of the family business. You sent him to business school, you've given him the education, you believe so much in his competence. Unfortunately, he decides to start his own business and he doesn't want any involvement in the family business because he gets entangled in so many issues. How do you resolve a situation like this, Professor? Like, how will you encourage your son to really go full steam ahead in a family business, or how will you support him if he decides to go for a startup?
Well, in fact, I see that quite often, especially now with the rise of attractivity of startups for young generations. I think fundamentally, it is important, first of all, to develop the competence of the self of the next generation, making them understand and putting them into a position where they can make a decision clearly whether they want to join the family business or not. I mentioned earlier that I have many, very successful family business owners who ask me the same question: how can I make the next generation be an owner? Well, if they are not committed to the business, then it's a very bad decision. I know that in an Asian context, it might be more difficult to contradict the previous generation, especially when you want to, there's a big respect towards more senior family members. So this needs to be managed very, very careful. Like in the US, we did like workshops with next generations where they talked in small groups among each other, and we facilitated also individual talks with the current generation, with the next generation. And what we've seen is that it helps very much to give the next generation an understanding what it means to be an owner, and also giving the previous generation having an understanding what it means to give up of ownership and leadership, because that is a very much related topic, meaning that the previous generations want to somehow dictate or push the next generation in cases to a certain position or career path that the next generation does not want. So finding a way of mutual understanding, taking perspective of the next generation, but also taking perspectives of the previous generation is key. And in my opinion, that works most with open discussion, open communication in a safe environment, especially if there's hierarchical or like conflicts based on seniority, if you cannot conflict with your previous generation in an Asian context.
Well said. Well said. Thank you very much. Now we have a question from a member of the audience. The founder of the Love Institute is here with us noon. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Maribel to join us, please. Ma'am, would you be so kind to ask your question for Professor Fabian?
Good afternoon, everybody. That was a very interesting talk, Dr. Fabian. So, yeah, I'm a family coach and a parenting specialist in the Philippines. And so I see that the psychological relationship of parents with each child is really very crucial to either get them involved in the business, or if it's not their interest, at least to have some, as you mentioned, give them some knowledge about, reading the financial statement or a balance sheet at that. And in your practice and experience, what exactly should parents do, and how early on, what skills and knowledge parents need to learn to be able to, have that psychological glue that you are saying in the relationship, That's it.
Yes, thank you for this question. I mean, that's also something that I hear quite often. I work for a business school. I teach like these formal aspects of business education. So I think that is a good way, like at least even if your children do not like to study business, but at least some business courses might be very, very helpful for them, especially if they are future owners of the business. But successful family business sometimes start even earlier. I have visited factories and production plants of very successful family business owners, and their children look around, they play as small children around, they are introduced to the key stakeholders. Sometimes they are even there at business meeting. Again, not every family is the same. That might work for you. In some other cases, it doesn't work for you. But this could be one way for early socialization into the role of the future owner. And again, what I also said earlier, it's also the stories that the owners tell the children. Maybe they tell about the great grandfather who had this great idea, but maybe they also should focus on how the entity, the cohesion of the family has supported this business. It's easy to make this big hero, put him a picture on the wall of the big founder who had these great ideas. But we know from research that it helps also to explain the roles, the supporting role of the cohesion and of every single family member to lead the success in the next generation. So long-lasting family businesses know how to transfer that.
Right. And it sounds like the relationship there's more like a democratic, you listen and you talk to each other. Because here in the Philippines, a parenting style that's rather still dominant is the autocratic style, you know. I tell you what to do and you just have to follow. So we need to, I think, to re-educate the parents as well, of the business owners, to be listeners and be able to value what each child can bring to the, you know, business, to the business or to the family business.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't go to say educate, but at least raise the awareness about it. And I think for me, the 3 C's are key. Like C like communication, C like conflict management, and C like cohesion. These are key for me to sustain a family business in the long run.
Right, yeah. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Maribel from the Love Institute. That was a very, very interesting and relevant question. I guess the follow-up question I wanted to ask Mrs. Maribel is, who's more autocratic? Is it the fathers or is it the mothers? But anyway, that's a different topic altogether. Let me also invite Neil to throw in a question in this conversation. Neil, take it away.
Hello, good morning, Professor Fabian. Thank you for the sharing. It was a very interesting study, because one thing is to have some ideas about family business, and it seems to be the right way to do it, but it's different when you really get it from a formal research and study to probably highlight what we already suspect to be a good factor in family business. And thank you for that research. My question is, you had 5 pillars in order to be a competent owner. Which pillar do you think was a critical factor that, quote unquote, saved the family business in this pandemic? There were 5 pillars. When the pandemic hit, about 5-6 months globally, many of us were caught flat-footed. Which do you think of those 5 pillars were very crucial in making the business succeed, survive, or even thrive amidst this pandemic, based on your global observation? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think this is a very timely question. And I would not point only to one pillar. I said, like, shared values and goals are key. And I think successful family businesses have them. I mentioned earlier the psychological clue. I think even in the pandemic, when you were not able to meet that regularly, I don't know how it was in the Philippines, but here in Europe, in Germany and France, we were not able to have big family gatherings anymore because of the pandemic. So keeping the psychological clue and keeping up the communication about current things and finding a way to sustain in these difficult times, I thought this was very essential for these family businesses. Again, I've seen oftentimes that they went back to their values. What do they stand for? What is important to them? What is essential for their family? And how does that translate in business? And from this standpoint, it's like a rock for these family businesses. From this rock, they looked for new opportunities or ways how they could sustain. And in these times, when your psychological clue is primarily based on financial aspect, that can bring you into trouble. So talking about it, communicating about it, aligning family members on their shared values might be one basis, an important essential basis for steps further to sustain better in these crises.
All right. Thank you very much, Neil. And once again, Professor, thank you for answering the question. I have one last question for you, sir. And it goes like this. So as a family business consultant, would you agree that sometimes businesses that are owned and managed by families actually face greater challenges than those businesses without family participation managed by professionals? What are your thoughts about that?
Very good question. I think that family businesses are much more complex than non-family businesses because you manage this interaction of these two systems. You have on the one side the business sphere and the other side the family sphere, and maybe sometimes they overlap. So for example, also roles overlap. In which situation should you behave like a father and to your children, and in which situation should you behave like a manager to the employees if your children work already in the business? So this adds an additional layer of complexity. So this makes family business more difficult to a certain extent. On the other side, family businesses have unique advantages as well. This cohesion, the trust in a well-functioning family gives a big advantage that you lack in some managerial led companies, like companies that have externals that you cannot really trust. So there are advantages and disadvantages, but overall my answer would be family businesses have huge advantages, but they have more complexity that needs to be managed.
Well said. Thank you very much, Professor Fabian. No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for the research. And above all, thank you for your time. Bonsoir. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand once again for Professor Fabian Bernhard. Thank you. Give him a hand, please, everybody. Thank you so much. He mentioned about ownership, competence, family governance, competencies among family members such as business acumen, but I think parenting plays a very, very huge role in raising the family business, because at the end of the day, just like what Michael J. Fox said, family is not just important, but family is everything. And parenting is the foundation for that. Thank you so much. All right, so listening to the research that you shared a while ago that Mr. or Professor Fabian had shared, it actually made me realize that this validates the business family's decision and your decision to invest in your family unity to establish what we call shared values and family vision, and to increase the competence of your family owners as well. So once again, thank you very much, Professor Fabian, for this piece of science, and also to Premier for bringing this avenue of learning for all of us. Now, stories matter. And in the next few moments, we'd like to share with you a few stories, success stories of our family business clients in Premier who will share their success experiences by experiencing the service that we delivered in Premier. First of all, let's watch a testimonial on the building of effective governance service from a father-daughter tandem, Mr. Edward Hayco and Evangeline Hayco Ugarte. Let's watch this.
Hi, this is Edward Hayco. We engaged Premier around three years ago, and it took us, I think, six months to create a family constitution that each of my daughters was very much a part of. And after we crafted the constitution, the more challenging role that everyone had to play was implementing it.
Hi, my name is Evangeline Hayco Ugarte, and I am a second generation to the Hayco family. We are in the manufacturing, hospitality, and a real estate business.
We have a very, very constructive experience with Teacher Neil, we call him Teacher Neil, even after the forming of the family constitution, he joins our monthly board meeting for I think 3 years now, and we feel it's very fruitful and productive because there is someone that's a professional that's joining the family board meeting, and he gives inputs, very professional inputs.
What I saw was there were different visions for the company. One is trying to sustain it, one is trying to look for a successor. You know, like when we're just all starting to get married and have our own kids, priorities of the business, our family, and ourselves start to differ. And, you know, just trying to bridge the gap, having different priorities and different perspectives into the business and life, that is already in itself a big deal, especially having to talk about sensitive things.
And we're very happy with the way the things are going, especially after the constitution, because there's creating the constitution is like a concept. It's what happens after you create a concept, a business idea. That's where the serious matter comes in, the implementation. So we're quite happy that their presence, their continued presence, professionalized our orientation, our attitudes, our perspective towards family business.
I am so grateful to John, Teresa, and to Neil. They have been such amazing instrument for our family. They have opened so many doors. It's like opening the floodgates to opportunities with us. They did not only help us build our family constitution, but they helped us sustain it. And for me, this is what's most important. I know several family business consultants that are there to help you form it, but never have I met a team so passionate to implement, sustain, and to give you the training wheels that you need. So every month during our board meeting, Neil sits in with us and he gives us the references that we need in order to sustain, implement, and to keep things moving and to be on the same page. So it's one thing to have a constitution, it's another thing to implement it. Thank you.
I hope you'll experience the same things that we did when we formed the Constitution and when we implemented the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed to the Hayco family. I absolutely agree with you both that a constitution without application, implementation, and execution doesn't mean anything. And thanks to Premier Family Business, they were able to put things in action. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's also welcome Dr. Mendero for his testimony on key process management consulting. Take it away.
KPMC has helped us be able to take out the subjectivity and really replace it with objectivity. And from there, I think KPMC has helped us come up with decisions that are well informed and decisions that are based on data and based on fact. We first heard of Premier through our friends, and we were very curious about it because our family had a lot of problems then. We did our own due diligence and we found out who and what Premier really stood for, and we realized that their values were aligned with our family values. Prior to KPMC, our businesses didn't have any structure to begin with. So with KPMC, we were able to solve these problems because now we had structures in place. So we were able to measure everything that happens inside our businesses. I would definitely recommend KPMC to other families in business because I believe just like our family, our problems are more or less the same. So I think through KPMC, these problems will may not be 100% uh, solved, but at least it'll definitely help us get through a lot of our problems as families in business. As a leader, I think it is very important for us to be able to comfortably give or empower our managers. And I think through KPMC, we were able to plant those seeds, make sure that our leaders are very, very comfortable and confident as leaders in our businesses. From the Mendero family, I'd like to invite you to try out Premier's services. Our experience with Premier has helped us prepare our legacy for the next generations. If you haven't decided yet, I urge you to try them out. It will definitely be worth it.
Thank you very much, Dr. 30 Mendero. And also, you have to try out Mendero Medical. It's a wonderful institution. Now, speaking about organizational systems effectiveness, Service would like to also have a testimony as she shares about her wonderful experience working with Premier. Take it away.
Hi, Sir John and team. Happy 10th year anniversary to Premier Family Business Consulting. We wish you 100 more years of helping family businesses last for generations. Muti Group of Companies is so blessed to be part of your 10 years of journey to greatness. We are truly grateful for that gift from God. We are a family business engaged in various businesses in trading, financing, banking, manufacturing, and real estate, with presence in many parts of Mindanao. Muti Group was begun by our parents, nurtured by us, their daughters, their four Marias, and soon to be turned over to the third generation. Very few family business survive up to the third generation. As they say, the founder establishes and develops it. The second generation nurtures and expands it. And the third generation squanders it. Having recognized our own limitations and the need to ensure that the next generations will not waste the legacy of our parents, we invested on the consultancy and programs provided by Premier. Our family constitution, drafted and finalized under Premier's guidance, now serves as a tangible anchor for the family's solidarity. Indeed, after the intervention of Sir John and Premier, relationships among our family members were strengthened. We now have a better and wider understanding on running a family enterprise, especially during these very challenging times. We are now better equipped to manage personal conflicts and recognize them as opportunities to make us better persons and better leaders. The Organizational Systems Effectiveness Program gave us the opportunity to identify our strengths, recognize our leadership gaps, mark our base camps in our roadmaps, learn to strategize and adopt teamwork as a way of life. We fully appreciated the necessity of professionalizing our systems and the adoption of new perspectives in leadership and management cultures. We recognized human resource as our most important assets. We know in our hearts that if we fail, not only will our families suffer, but almost 1,000 employees and their families will suffer too. We thank Premier for the tools they provided to minimize our failure and to tip the balance in favor of success and business longevity. Thank you, Premier. Being more equipped, our family will continue its journey with confidence and courage to reach our big, hairy, and audacious goals.
Mrs. Chiu, thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate you and we honor you as well. Now, friends, at this point in time, Premier would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of you, our valued clients, the Premier Family Circle, for your trust, your confidence, and your partnership with us. To do the honor, I'd like to call once again the founder and CEO, John Ramos, for this expression of gratitude. John, take it away.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Sorry, I was in a mute mode. I was kind of very excited to actually just ride on and share my feelings of love and happiness to hear all the testimonies that our valued clients have shared to us. You guys are so wonderful. And this afternoon, we would like to reinforce how thankful we are to you, and we are very and immensely blessed and very grateful of the trust and love that you've shared to Premier Family. And I'd like to, if you will allow me, I'd like to, call some of the families who actually join us this afternoon, and we'd like to appreciate you as part of our family or Premier Family. So I know that we have with us the Go family. Yes, I think they're here. This family is spearheaded by Sir Alex, Sir Stephen, and the other siblings. They're actually in the, I think, third generations already. We also have us this afternoon, the Di Chanco family. They're spearheaded by Sir Ollie, and I think Kate, being the eldest, also championed this engagement with us along with her sisters. Thank you very much, Di Chanco family, for joining us. We also have, of course, the Chi family and the Chiu family. This family started from ages. They've been, I think they're already in their third and fourth generation coming into play. The Chi and the Chiu family, spearheaded by Sir Ramon, and I think I've seen him here. Thank you very much to Au, salamat. We're so grateful and honored to have you this afternoon with us, and thank you. We also have this afternoon the Gaisano family. I just had a board meeting with them this afternoon, so I got a little late. But I'm very happy, Sir Alex, Dr. Janet, and beautiful daughters. Thank you very much for trusting in us, your family and your business. And we look forward to forge more productive relationships with you. Thank you. We also have the Fernandez family. Yeah, thank you to Bernadette. Yeah, to Tata and Bea, and of course their parents. Thank you. They're actually from Davao. They have a really, good business there. We have many businesses there, and we're very, very privileged to journey with you. And thank you for trusting us as well. Earlier, I know we have the Ong family. Charles was actually in, but I think he left already. But thank you very much, Charles. We also have the Hayco family, of course. Thank you very much. Edward, Sir Edward, Ellen, Vanji, and all the sisters. It's really, really, something that I don't know if I can, articulate it, but we're very happy and we're very privileged to also help you. Thank you very much. We're so grateful of you, of your family. We also have the Chiu family, of course. That was Mom Rose, and I think I saw Mom Henriette earlier. Hi, thank you very much, Henriette, it was a privilege. It is a privilege, and we always are grateful with your trust, your family trust to Premier. Thank you very much. And we also have the Lau family. I've seen Chairman Jimmy and the son James, and I think the two daughters are also here. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Salamat. And I know Susan, I think, is also with us here. Salamat. We owe you a lot, and we are more excited to really journey with all of you, with your family business. We also have the Reyes family. Yeah. I see him. Yes, I think we're seeing them here. They're from the Cagayan de Oro. Thank you very much, Ma'am Gaga and Sir Dan. They're in the pharmaceutical distribution also, based in Cagayan de Oro. Salamat, thank you. Despite the pandemic, we're still alive. We're reignited. We also have the Labunog family, my dear Labunog family from Bohol. Thank you to, I think, Engineer Bobo, is he here? And to Sis Lilia, right? And to the May, to the beautiful daughters and son-in-law. Thank you very much. It's such a wonderful opportunity to also help you and journey with you. We also have the Dumaluan family. You guys remember, of course, you know the Dumaluan Resort in Bohol. So this is the Dumaluan family headed by Dr. Dollar Rich. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us and for trusting in us to help you in your family business needs. When we also have another from Bohol, we have the Malwenda family. See, our founder, Cesar. Thank you very much. And the children. Thank you. It's a privilege to journey with you. We also have no less than the Mendero family, of course. We have the founders, Doc Malu, Doc Sam, and of course, Dr. 30, and the wife, who is also Dr. Mitch. We also have June, I think, and the youngest daughter. Thank you very much. It's an honor. I know Marielle is here. Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor, it's a privilege to really journey with you. Wow, we're so blessed. The good thing about appreciation event like this is that, just like what Fabian says, it is an opportunity for us as a family to reignite that psychological glue, that emotions that is necessary for us to be inspired, to actually move forward, to not be afraid, to actually help, to reach out, and to do more good things, So thank you very much. And to further cement this, I'd like to call, Teresa to share to us or to, give the expression of gratitude to all of you. We have prepared really gifts for you. And let me take this opportunity to call the co-founder and head of Family Strategy Premier, my sister, Teresa Ramos.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would also like to recognize the David family represented by Dan David. He's here. Welcome and thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. Yes.
I share with John and the rest of the Premier team in our gratitude to all our valued clients, the Premier Family Circle. Personally, I am honored and privileged to journey with you in your family culture building process and in your consensus building process towards the crafting of your family agreements. So it is my joy to present to you, in behalf of the Premier team, these gifts that we have prepared for you. I present to you two gifts that you can choose. First is the complimentary facilitation of your board or family council for a session. If this is something your family needs, we will be happy to do this. And second gift is a free access to the Premier Leadership Institute or PLI. So this is a servant and thought leadership digital learning program platform, which is partnered with SoftSkill and MIT. You can choose 3 learning sessions or courses from either the leadership program or the management program, which is each module is valued at 5,000 pesos. So to give you a quick overview of the Premier Leadership Institute, here is a short video. So there you have it, our dear families in business. You can choose which gift you'd like to avail, either a complimentary facilitation of your board or your family council, or a free access of at least 3 learning sessions or courses in Premier Leadership Institute. So to facilitate your choosing and make sure that we'll be able to give you that chosen gift after this gathering, let's have a quick call. Our host, Adrian, will lead us to this call.
Well, all the family members today get one of each. But anyway, what matters is that you get the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to choose whether you want the consultancy or you'd like to take part in, the thought leadership or advanced education. And so here's what we'd like to do, all right? We would like to ask you to choose which gift you'd like to avail. We have prepared a poll for you to choose. And we're going to play it right now on the screen, and we're going to give you just a few minutes to decide. And hopefully, as you make a decision, you will avoid any confrontation or any conflict whatsoever. Your time to decide begins now. And by the way, for the benefit of all our guests in this virtual room tonight, I would like to remind all our guests this evening to please make sure that you keep your phones discreetly on silent mode and to ensure that there will be no disturbances so that we can stay focused in this virtual conference. Thank you for your cooperation. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've reached a unanimous decision. I think majority of our valued guests tonight prefer the free access to the Premier Leadership Institute, and you actually made a very good choice. So congratulations, everybody. And please do not forget to contact us at Premier Family Business Consulting so that we can help you avail of your gift. Let's give ourselves and Premier a big hand, please, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Please do not leave because something exciting is about to happen in the next few moments. In fact, the next guest that I'm about to introduce to you all does not need any further introduction. In fact, every time I hear his name, I just want to shout for joy. I just want to shout for joy. As a matter of fact, he's a legendary singer, and if only I could sing a couple of songs for you from his all-time best-selling records, I would. But di bali na lang. Kasi sayaw ang sayaw. And so I am not going to allow any stone left unturned. I will introduce to all of you Mr. Pure Energy himself, who is with us in the virtual room to inspire us with a short message and a song in the hopes that you and I will be ignited so we can be united as families for one. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please put your hands together for Mr. Gary Valenciano.
Hi. You know, I just have a very simple message to give to all the families who are the pillars of business in our society. I know it's pressure. It's so much pressure that you've undergone through all this whole pandemic thing. Plus, you being pillars is almost like added pressure on your shoulders. I can only pray that God blesses you in ways that you have never experienced yet, that in ways that you never knew He could, so that when things begin to rise up and flow again with regard to your businesses, that you will never forget just how blessed you truly are, and that you have been chosen to be the pillars that you are in the area of business in our society today. I have a very special song that I'd like to share with you. It's one that I posted, but I think it's perfect for this occasion. God bless you all, and I hope I can celebrate with all of you someday in the near future. God bless.
Just what is it in me? Sometimes I just don't know what keeps me in your love, and why you never let me go. And though you're in me now, I fall and hurt you still. My Lord, please show me how to know just how you feel. 'Cause you have forgiven me too many times, it seems. I feel I'm not what you might call a worthy Christian after all. And though I love you so, temptation finds its way to me. Teach me to trust in you with all of my heart, to lean not on my own understanding, 'cause I just forget. You won't give me what I can't bear. Take me out of the dark, my Lord, I don't wanna be there. No, no, no more. You've never left my side. You gave your hand to me to hold. Oh, Jesus, I'm no longer in the cold, and yet I leave you there when I feel satisfied. I'd like to thank you every day, not only when I feel this way. I've never known a man who'd give his life for sinners like me. Yet because he loves us so, he's promised us eternity, and we can have that promise and be his if we have faith and just believe. Teach me to trust in you with all of my heart, to lean not on my own understanding, 'cause I just forget. You won't give me what I can't bear. Take me out of the dark, my Lord, 'cause I don't wanna be alone. Take me out of the dark, my Lord. I don't wanna be there. No, no, my teach me to trust in you with all of my heart, to lean not on my own understanding, 'cause I just forget that you won't give me what I can't bear. Take me out of the dark, my Lord, 'cause I don't wanna be alone. Take me out of the dark, my Lord. I don't wanna be there. No, no, no more. May your glory be yours, my King, my Lord.
A big hand, please, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Pure Energy, Gary Valenciano. You know, friends, I had the opportunity to interview Gary twice in less than a month. And there's this one question that I always ask him. I said, Gary, after being around in the industry for more than 40 years, what is the secret of your success? Why is it that you haven't faded at all? And his answer is quite simple. He said that in all things, Adrian, I always make it a point that Christ is the center of everything, because the truth is he's the giver of my talent. And without him, this talent means nothing. Let us all be reminded, my dear friends, that at the end of the day, no matter how successful our businesses are, there is one person responsible for the sustainability and the success of our business, and that's God himself. And also, friends, let us not let the business ruin the family. Let us not make the family all about the business, because it's our business to make the family stronger, wiser, and closer. So let us continue to hold hands, have faith, hope, love, and gratitude, and make every single effort to unite our families. Let us try our very best to resolve our issues. Let us work on our values, and I promise you, sustainability, finance, and succession will simply follow. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big hand please for Mr. Gary Valenciano for that touching message and that very timely, inspiring song. Thank you. Now, I'd like to call our Executive Director, Neil Montesclaros, for a few words of encouragement. Neil, take it away.
Good afternoon to everyone. Depending where you are right now. So probably it's good evening or good morning. So Adrian, thank you for hosting today. The key themes of today are, as John mentioned, faith, hope, and then Adrian mentioned about optimism. But I would like to emphasize also the key celebration is gratitude. And these are the men and women of Premier, because we are a multidisciplinary team who are very passionate and very sincere in aspiring to do more good for families in business. And while Adrian mentioned optimism. John mentioned faith, hope, and then we said gratitude for today. I would like to add one more, and that's courage. The courage to face all adversities. When we enter into this life, we are a mix of weaknesses and strengths. And every organization is a mix of weaknesses and strengths. But when crisis comes, this is where our weaknesses and strength can actually be a source of salvation, so to speak. And I would like to end our gathering today with a song. No, I'm not going to sing, but I will share to you a singer whose name is Elionette Coldfire, whose real name is Katri Jewel Golbin from Capiz, Iloilo. She received a standing ovation for her rendition of I Dream a Dream in France Got Incredible Talent. Katri was announced the third place winner in France Incredible Talent on Tuesday, December 13, 2016. This is an example that no matter what life throws at us, we can still make something beautiful and we can do something great. Let me share with you a song, Rise Up.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, but you can't find the fighter, but it's seed in you, so we go walk it out and move mountains. We can walk it out and move mountains. And oh rise like the day, oh rise up, oh rise unafraid, oh rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And oh rise up, high like the waves, oh rise up, in spite of the aches, oh rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, but I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. And oh rise up, oh rise like the day, oh rise up, oh rise unafraid, oh rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other, and we will rise, oh, we will rise, we'll rise. Oh, rise up, rise like the day, oh, rise up, in spite of the aches, I'll rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, high like the waves, we'll rise up, in spite of the aches, we'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
that's our message for this afternoon. We hope everybody will rise up and we will rise up together. And we would like to acknowledge those people who made it. Abby Lim and also Abraham C, representing the C family and the Lee family. So I leave you to that with that message. There is no problem, there's no mountain that we cannot conquer, especially if we do it together. We will all rise up and we all know it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Neil Montesclaros, everyone, our Executive Director for Premier Family Business Consulting. And before we put a close to everything, would like to invite everyone for some picture taking, if that's possible. But before we leave, I just have to say this before we organize everybody. I am so glad, Neil, that she ended up singing the song for all of us. And I am so glad that you also ended this affair with your encouraging closing remarks. Just saying, all right, just saying. And so we want to take this opportunity to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening. We honor you, we salute you, we appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. Let us continue our partnership. Let us work on our families, all for God's glory. God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much. Once again, a big hand for everybody and the rest of the team for Premier Family Business. And can we have pictures,
Thank you,
please?
Adrian.